Memory changes over time based upon subsequent experience. You might be tempted to assume, as Joseph's critics have, that a changing memory is an illegitimate or an inaccurate one. That's not a sound assumption. Try an experiment. Search your episodic memory for a very important event, perhaps some great triumph or tragedy, the Olympics or a national disaster. Your memory of that event is a mixture of the things you remember from the time, together with understandings and interpretations based on subsequent experience, and you'll have a hard time figuring out which parts are which. Is your memory reliable? It's very likely to be reliable on important points. It's very likely unreliable on peripheral details, just like Joseph's. I remember a particularly formative breakfast conversation I had with my father when I was 14 years old, the same age Joseph was at the time of his vision. Nothing has changed in the intervening years about the events of that morning, but my memories of them, especially the meanings I see in that conversation, have developed over time because my subsequent experiences have given me a different perspective on my past. Finding meaning in our memories is a very human thing to do. If interpretive memory is unreliable, then not only Joseph Smith's, but Fawn Brody's, Wesley Walters, and yours and mine are too.
The fact that he was speaking to different audiences and the fact that his own experience changed over time, as all of our experiences do. When we have an experience and we relate it at one time, and then later on we might see it in a different light due to events that have taken place in our own lives, and I think that may have played a part into it.
The observable facts of memory, the things scientists of memory tell us to expect when we remember, are all evidenced in Joseph Smith's accounts of his vision. The accounts describe how peripheral data dropped from Joseph's consciousness as the heavenly beings captured and riveted his attention. Joseph could remember well his experience with the Bible that got him thinking about going into the grove, and he also had a tough time remembering exactly when it took place. That's exactly what the science of memory and our own experiences tell us to expect.
Memory studies show this, common sense shows it. The things we really do remember are vivid experiences. If something has really impressed us, it's fixed in our memory. Now, what might not be fixed in our memory are details.
Joseph's first vision accounts are undeniably subjective. All remembered things are. It was Joseph's vision after all. If there had been two people there witnessing it, their accounts would be different from each other, and a bit different each time they told it. Their memories would also be rich mixtures of past and present. In other words, whatever they were thinking about in the present to catalyze their memory of the past would shape the memory, and therefore the way it would be transmitted and recorded and passed on to us.
When we have a strange experience, something that's new, we have to understand it in terms of what's old. Events and experiences don't carry their meaning on the surface of it. We have to look around in the inventories of ideas we have in order to make sense of what has occurred to us. And so he has to enlarge his inventories of self-understanding before he can make sense of an experience that he had before. He might have remembered every detail of it, but he can't find the words to describe it until what he learns about himself from the scriptures and from his life provide the vocabulary that's suitable for describing what he had gone through.
Some assume that anyone who experienced such a heavenly vision could not possibly forget the date or their age at the time. But who is equipped to make such an assumption? How do they know how one responds to or remembers such a heavenly experience? Those who choose the hermeneutic of trust do not prejudice the issue by deciding it in advance. Rather, they let Joseph speak for himself and make an informed decision about the veracity of Joseph's accounts.